All right, the game, Nate, in the Eastern Conference here that we have for Sunday's matchups, game 4, as the 76ers got their big man back, and probably a big emotional and spiritual lift, if you will, from the masked Joel Embiid, who, wasn't dominating the game on offense the way he normally would. Also got hit in the head at one point by Bam. That was a little bit scary, just knowing that's obviously where his issues are. Totally unintentional, but it just took a quick spill. Actually came back from that and continued to play a little bit better on offense from there. Got a few more free throws, as we note here, and we will, that in the second half he was a bit better. And so, yeah, I think, this one we now look at Philly, things being a bit turned because they're in Philly right now, and it is game 4, and the momentum took a bit of a swing, if you believe in that, from game to game. And, they come out, they're now -2 favorites in this one with a 207 total after we saw a complete lack of offense in this one on both sides of the floor. Great defense, I suppose. Definitely. I mean, I'm not going to discredit either team. And Philly did hit a butt ton of threes, actually shot a better percentage from 3 than they did from the field in this one. So, I don't know. Where do you start with what we have here? Obviously, there's some interesting stuff with the series prices as well. Maybe we look at those for a start.
Yeah, I start with the under again here because, you said it. Embiid did not necessarily have a huge impact, but the emotional lift that he provided, just knowing that we have a chance, like especially being ruled in so late before that game, to kind of surprise the Heat and give the Sixers a feeling that they weren't necessarily going down 3-0. And everybody else responded defensively. Miami has these kind of lapse games, especially on the road. It was very uncharacteristic, considering a 90 offensive rating when they were 114 in the playoffs overall. Defensive rating was 7 points higher. But the pace is what I would lean towards when saying, like, we got to take an under again here. 88.5 pace. And we talk about it with Luka. As great of an offensive player as he is, he gravitates the game towards a slow pace where you have to take every possession and throw the ball to him and see what he wants to do. And as Embiid gets more comfortable, that's going to be how the Sixers play more and more, especially in the fourth quarter, as we saw in the first round. Really slowed it down against Toronto. Miami let up a few things that is uncharacteristic of this team in terms of 19 fast break points, but they're not getting anything easy either, really. 6 fast break points for them. Both teams only 28 points in the paint, as they both have been limited there. And you look at Miami's road numbers, 4 of their last 5 have gone under on the road. They have just a 106 offensive rating, 100 points per game, shooting 40% from the field, 32% from deep there. And there was a while there down the stretch where they were just hoping Max Strus could shoot them back into the game, and there was nothing else going. Jimmy Butler could not hit anything. Lowry kind of clogged things up, to be honest. I mean, it's his first game back in a while, and he's not the same kind of creator as Tyler Hero if the ball's in his hands more. Miami's offense really stagnated, I think, because Kyle Lowry was trying to dictate how things go from the top of the key there. So I think it will still take a little bit of time to adjust offensively, but I think that Heat defense will respond here as they typically do. After these kind of lull games, they come out, exert their will. And we've talked about how much Harden is going to struggle against this defense. Bam has done a pretty good job on Embiid. So I don't think the Sixers are necessarily going to have one of their home 110 plus performances here. I think both teams will be lucky to get over 100, and the winning team might just barely get over that.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things in this one. I honestly don't know who's going to win game 4. As soon as I saw Embiid back, it kind of felt like, oh man, there's no way they lose this game just on this like emotional high now. And honestly, I kind of thought there's no way this man should be playing in a basketball game, but I guess if he's got enough protective face with his Batman mask, then great. But that also leads me to think there's no way that 2 days later he should be playing in this game either, to be honest, as I don't know how much better you can get from being unable to look at your phone for a full week after the concussion because it's still too blinding to your eyes. I just can't see it 2 days later you being great, and then 4 days later being even better. So point being, I think that leads to this choppiness and this under the continuing and that pace and the fact that Bam's done a pretty good job on Embiid. He guarded Embiid and kept him to what he did there in that game, which still a very good game by a lot of people's standards for Joel. But still, just only the 18 points, right, is not what you you're looking for from him. So the 11 boards also shows he's still in this, and I think it's also about what Embiid did to Bam on the other side of the floor. Bam was dominating the series. Jimmy still had a good game in this last one, even though he only went 1 of 5 from 3. He was getting to the line 10 times, made 12 of 22 shots from the floor overall. So he dropped 33 and 9 boards in this one, which is what they needed from him, and he could tell. And they still only had 79 points. Right? That's unreal that he had 33 of those 79, as Bam was just locked up by Embiid in this one. And that seems to be what some of the focus was, and why I think Embiid was like, I need to get out there because I can't watch Bam Adebayo average 24 points, 11 boards, and 5 assists or whatever in the playoffs against us anymore. And he had a plus 41 overall in the first 2 games. Did Bam. But Embiid guarded him for 50% of the time that they were both on the floor together. They were both on the floor about 75% of the time overall for that entire game. And when he was on Bam, we're talking about 3 points, 1 of 5 from the field, 2 turnovers, no assists. And that's huge. That Bam can't just walk into the paint, get what he wants. Jimmy was doing his thing, probably because Embiid wasn't even really playing as much of that sort of center field defense that he normally would be able to play as a rim protector. He was like, I'm going to chase Bam around and make sure he doesn't get his. And that was a huge reason for this game being what it was, combined with the fact that Miami wasn't able to get open from 3, as there wasn't nearly as much in and out from guys like Jimmy and Bam able to play from the post and back their guys down. Even Kyle Lowry, they were putting in the post at times, nothing doing there for him to be able to get kickouts to Hero or Vincent or Strus, etc. So there's some issues for them. I think that this game 4 is going to be pretty similar. You're going to expect some adjustments from Spo, and I don't know if he's going to stick with Lowry the 25 minutes that he played. That took Vincent out of the game, and actually he's been much better on defense, it seems, than Lowry. Obviously wasn't that in his first game back, where he still didn't look healthy enough. So I think the things I'm looking at in this game, to be clear, I haven't even talked about Harden yet, and everything I just said leads me to just like the under and like Philly, even though I'm not as confident in the total, because I am a bit scared of playoff Eric Spoelstra and what he might have cooked up in this game, because he has plenty of cards up his sleeve and plenty of guys on that top scoring bench in the league this year that he can bring off and play around with. I do like also after that Harden unders, continue to just slam Harden unders, as he has now, I believe, failed to score 25 points in 22 of his last 23 playoff games. His prop at points is just at 19.5 right now. In his last 5 versus Miami, he had 17 last game. In his last 5 versus Miami, including last game, still averaging about 15.5 points a game, 6 boards, about 8.5 assists a game, still averaging about 36. That's all in his per 36s. So it's not like it's just brutal, right? His splits are at about worse than 40% from the field and worse than 30% from deep, only getting about 4 or 5 free throw attempts a game. On and on and on. There's no part. Everything I just said is what his game is predicated on. He can't do it anymore. He's not doing it, especially against his Heat team, and I don't expect him to continue to. They're going to only get lower, I think. 19.5 still feels like I'm good to hit under 20 points for James Harden. It's minus 120 for the under in this, for him to go under there. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's still at even money. It's the minus 20.5 on FanDuel that is minus 120, because they have it at 20.5, 1 point higher than DK. So however you feel about an under there, 19.5, if you go under on DK, you're talking about even money. I still feel good about those for Harden props.
Yeah, but that's the thing now that Embiid's back and Danny Green is shooting well. Harden doesn't need to score 20 plus. And at this stage in his career, that's the next step, right? Where he's just going to have to facilitate, keep the ball moving, and then occasionally attack the gaps when he gets them. He can't just break anybody down off the dribble. And thankfully they have Maxey to do that now. But I agree with you. Yeah, you want the under here. Plus 230 for the Sixers money line and the under, or plus 270 for Miami. But I kind of am leaning Sixers at home here to maintain that emotional lift. I think Embiid is only going to be better with another day off. And he kind of seemed to find it down the stretch there. In the fourth quarter, he was plus 11, 5 points in 6 minutes, had an and one there that, kind of made him feel like, okay, I can still do this right now. And yeah, Lowry clearly not healthy if he's going to have 0 points in 25 minutes. Nobody coming along with Jimmy, who's not used to that kind of role. You talk about Harden being more comfortable distributing. Jimmy's not like a 35% usage guy. The Heat are spread it out guy. They're going to need more from Bam, who kind of, it was a shock for everybody. Like Embiid's in the lineup, and Bam was not able to do what he had done against those backups who are just food for him. So it's going to be gut check time. I think we're going to see a very intense game where we go under, and you can actually bet the money line with both teams at plus 270, plus 230. And as long as you go under, you're profiting. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I 100% see that and agree with it. And yeah, the intensity of this game, there's not going to be a point that either team is just going. I mean, look, if Embiid is a bit better, I can't see it, and maybe he will be a bit better in terms of how he feels, and that'll bring about that offense. Because as we've mentioned, I mean, they went 16 for 38 in this game from three, right? Shooting 48% from deep, or what have you. So, I mean, that is a complete correlation to Embiid being in the game, which we consistently talked about, which is they need him to sort of make that unbalance, create that imbalance on the offensive end for Philly, where the guys are scattering for Miami because there's double teams on Embiid that then leave other guys open that they know they need to get out on, like Max Strus, like Tyler Hero, and even Oladipo at times, who's still not really shooting it that well or fitting in super well with the offense. But we'll see if he's able to pick that up. But that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us as we bring you each and every playoff game during this NBA postseason. And until we see you next, happy betting.